Well, today I'm gonna take my old Frankenstein truck and wash it. A lot of people see this truck and they think, well, that's just a mud toy somebody built, Well, when I built this truck, I had the S10 already, but it was broke down. We got our taxes back. So what do I buy? A square body that has a bad transmission. Bring it home. My wife's like, how are we all gonna fit in that? And I was like, well, I guess I'll have to put the S10 cab up on that frame. So we started tearing apart. And on roadkill, they always say, don't get it right, just get it running. This is the exact definition of that. I lived in the middle of the woods when I built this, with no garage, no welder, no lift, no tractor. Didn't have a vehicle, so I had to walk to the hardware store down in town to get the grinding discs and rivets and bolts. But if you start looking at it close, right? If you look at this core support, right? If you look at that sticker, it says caution, and I can't really focus, but it says keep hands and feet away. Well, that's because that's from a treadmill. Because when I started taking the cab apart and off the original S10 frame, I realized the floor was rotted, for one. So right behind this door, in the hinge area, I had to weld a pipe there. So we had a way to lift this corner off. And it took me and my wife and my son 2 days to get that cab right there off of the original S10 frame. And then I was like, well, now how am I gonna get it up on that frame, right? So what I did was, one, we stood the cab up on its back. I had a couple of guys come over and we stood it on a set of tires, so it was just sitting there with the floor, facing me. And then I went up underneath it. Well, and then while it was standing up there, if you look down here, you can see this square tubing, right? That's from a boat trailer, right? I literally just cut the floor, folded it up, put the section of square tubing in it, and riveted it and bolted it right where I needed it to be to sit on that body mount. All right, this truck is definitely roadkill, all right? And then people started thinking, well, what are you using for a fuel tank? Well, I'll go back there and focus in a minute, but I had a Malibu sitting in my yard that's completely junk that had a plastic tank in it, right? So what do you do with the plastic tank? How are you gonna mount it when it doesn't go in there? Well, originally I had a metal strapping holding it, but it rotted. So right now it's being held in by, you see it, you're right, a yellow ratchet strap. And what I did was I took the fuel pump from the 6-liter LS truck that I got the motor from, stuffed it in this 15-gallon tank, which sucks because this thing gets 9 miles a gallon. Another reason why it's called Frakentruck is because it's an 85 Chevy K20 frame, but the motor's from a 2001 Chevy 2500 6-liter LS. The transmission is actual two-wheel drive TH350 that came from like a 78 Nova or some kind of car, and I took the long tail shaft off of it and cut it, the output shaft, and put my transfer case and stuff on it. But this thing's a beast. But the LS she's getting tired. It had 248,000 miles on it when I put it in here, and it's been living at like 2,800 RPMs its whole life. Because doing 60 in this thing with only 3 speeds, 37-inch tires, 410 gear ratio, it sings the whole time you're going on the road. But I've drove this thing across the whole state, hauling our bump and run car. Never went mudding in it. It might look like it, but we live on dirt roads, so anytime I go anywhere and it's dirt. You know what this thing's from right here? A spare tire cover that was around a motorhome tire on the back of a motorhome. This truck is the definition. And when your rocker panels are all rusty, what you do is you go find a car at the junkyard that has those plastic trim panels. That's just a plastic trim panel off of a car at the junkyard. And then you can go to Menards, get you some aluminum and rivet it and everything. And the cab corners look great now. These steps right here, my grandpa was gonna scrap them, and I just can't really see because of the dirt. That's a little coupler for 3-inch exhaust. just cut, shortened them, and hooked them together. And then they're all hanging off my, you know, custom body mounts. But I've posted pictures of this thing. I mean, it can haul a camper. It's hauled my grandpa's full-size truck. It's got the big 3/4 ton springs, and I went ahead and put new AC Delco shocks on her. And I mean, this truck even towed home, when I first built it, originally, it only had a 305 in it. And I came down here to Owasso from all the way from North Manistee, and we towed home the truck that had the LS in it. You know, got my long tube headers. See, the long tube headers, they're stainless steel headers, supposedly, but I didn't think stainless steel rusted. But, you know, cheapy headers from eBay, $100. They sound really good though. But, and there you go, there's Frakentruck. Maybe when I'm at the car wash, I'll take some more pics of her, but gotta check the oil in it because it leaks and smokes. And I put a new oil pump in it, a new pickup tube, new all that stuff, and still at idle 20 pounds of oil pressure. But then you go over here to the Blazer, and she's built right because I had a welder and I have all the right tools now. I mean, this is first project, pretty ghetto. Didn't have anything to build it, just built it. Gotta have a truck, goes up down the driveway. Because, you know, and S10s don't like to go in forward drive. Well, this one does, because you get out and you lock her, right? And since you gotta get out and lock the axles anyway, well, I never put a forward drive shifter in there. So you have to go down here, and on the transfer case, it's getting dark, but on the transfer case down here, I have to reach down there and use a screwdriver to put her in four-wheel drive. But hey, it works. Drove it for many winters. Every project we've ever had, including that vehicle right there, has been towed home by a truck that I built when I didn't even have a vehicle. And I don't know, it's pretty good. That's why I built this Blazer. I'm getting really good at building them now. I mean, the 3800 Acadia, LS swapped, all-wheel drive all the time. Nothing ghetto about it. I mean, this one, there was no rust on the rockers, on the frame. You got tape on the body mounts right now because I put the polyurethane mounts that are a little bit taller. I got some paint on that one, but by going up 1 inch on the body is what made it where I was able to use a cheap eBay oil pan on the LS swap and still keep the front axle. It's not 4x4 anymore though, it's all-wheel drive. But thanks for watching the video. Hope you guys like it.